Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another segment of the Black Girl Encourage Her. I am your host, Shaniqua Inspires. You already know what it is. You already know what it is. I'm not even going to sit here and hype you up. We are bringing forth this encouragement for everyone. We just so happen to be doing it from a Black girl's perspective. And I got another one. Listen, I met this young lady through a mutual friend, and I am so happy and honored that we have been connected. So I'm not going to sit here and try to introduce her to you all. I'm just going to bring her to the stage. Hey, Dr. Diandra, how are you? Uh-oh,
Everyone,
wait, I got you muted. Wait, we playing it. There
yes,
we go.
listen,
We got it now.
3 years into this pandemic, and we're still trying to find the mute button.
Listen, still trying to find the mute button. How about that? But listen, we can't stop the goodness. We can't stop the words that you have come here to share with us. Please introduce yourself to everyone.
Well, my name is Dr. Diandra Poe, more affectionately known as Dr. D, depending on who you ask. Either way, I answer to both of them. My doctorate is in social work, so I'm kind of multi-hyphenated right now, and I'm loving it.
Hmm.
But my background is I started social work after I got out of the military. I spent 6 years, roughly 7 years in the Army. I commissioned when I was 31 years old, so I kinda went in late, very
Okay.
late. Already a mom, and, ever since then, my social work practice has been focused on sexual trauma, particularly military, sexual trauma, but I have done everything from social work in the ICU to human trafficking, foster care,
Wow.
and now my own organization, and helping military service members, but more importantly, helping the world understand how to build mental wealth.
I love it. I love it. We're gonna get into that because when she put that down, mental wealth, I said, "Oh, that's right up my alley." Mental and wealth. I love it. We're gonna talk about that. But before we do, I acknowledge I give honor to the work that you do in the service or you did in the service, and well, you're actually still doing for the service. So we commend you for that. Talk to us a little bit about this sexual abuse that goes on in the military. I think that's such a foreign concept to people that people don't think that this stuff is occurring. So, what could you share a little bit about the work that you do for the military?
Sure. So when I got accepted to my doctorate program, first of all, I wanted to get a doctorate in social work, and not necessarily a PhD. So I want to make the distinction because when people see that
Hmm.
DSW, they're like, "What does that stand for?" Um, and simply, the DSW just differs from the PhD in that it's more solution focused. And
Hmm.
so my goal in starting off with my DSW was to find out a way to reduce the shame, the stigma, and the
Hmm.
retaliation that happens when military service members come forward to speak their truth. I am a
Wow.
survivor of military sexual trauma. And so
Mm.
what happened to me happened within 90 days of my first duty station. Again,
Wow.
I was already in my 30s. I had been a mom, I had worked in the world, and nothing prepares you when you're confronted. I think every woman has said, "I wish somebody would." We all have that attitude, oh, like when they hear about
Mm.
stories and they're like, until you find yourself in that situation. And as a mom, your fight or flight is very, very different when your
Mm.
children are anywhere near you. For me,
Wow.
my children were home when this happened. And so,
Wow.
my instinct to protect my children outweighed what was happening to me. The disassociation immediately kicked in. And so
Mm.
from there, when I left the military, a social worker saved my life. And
Mm.
somehow she told me that my story didn't end there. And so I
Wow.
went into the social work program and said, I want to help. I want to be the change that I didn't get to see in the military.
Hmm.
And so my
Hmm.
focus was on trauma. I wanna know who is being assaulted because, to your credit, a lot of people don't know. Um,
Hmm.
it's been talked about because of stories that happen, like in Texas, things that happen in Germany, especially when we talk about women of color, right?
Wow.
My goal is to kind of unravel all of that.
I love that. And it's so important because media shapes our image for the
Mhm.
most part. I was just recently saying this about Africa. When I took my trip to South Africa, all I ever thought of Africa was like this poor, impoverished land. And so as you get older, you start to hear and see these conflicting stories. So it was like, oh, I want to go see this for myself. I want to see this with my own eyes.
Yeah.
So it's like the media corrupts, or the media gives us what our image of something is.
Mhm.
And so when I think about the military, I instantly think about MASH because that was one of my favorite shows. I think about Hot Lips, and that's what I'm thinking
Stuff
of.
that you
So
can't say nowadays.
you know, so I instantly go there. So I think a lot of, and to be honest, I think a lot of people think like that it was just a lot of everybody just intermingling with one another, and that was their way of coping with what was going on in the wars. However, now that we get into the real world outside of the jaded lens that the media tries to portray, I'm so grateful that survivors like yourself, we had Rowena on here a few episodes ago, and survivors, people who are actually surviving this type of abuse, whether
Mhm.
it's in the military, whether it's in the home, wherever it's at, that survivors are now standing up and they are painting a different picture for us.
Yeah.
So it's no longer like we're getting this cookie cutter, oh, everything is okay, there's nothing to see here, to no, wait a second, there is something that is really going on, and we need to get more attention to it so that we can offer support for those who have gone through the trauma, and make certain that it stops happening. Like,
Exactly.
because it's not okay. In no way, shape, or form is it ever okay.
Right.
And I'm glad that we have troopers. I'm glad that we have these warriors that are coming forward and sharing to help to change the viewpoint that we have in society. So we celebrate you for that.
Thank you.
So I need to get in it because I want to talk about this thing right here. Because what she did was take two of my favorite things. You guys know that I'm a big mental health, mental wellness advocate, and she done brought this wealth part because my nose is always like, well, everybody's ears start to perk up when they hear wealth. So let's talk a little bit about this mental wealth.
Yeah.
First, start us off with why.
Abs
Why are you feeling the need to share, to encourage us about this in the first place?
Wow. So I'm gonna try my best to fit a lot of information into this segment because
Sure,
I
go
could go
for
on
it.
for days, right? Um, uh, the first thing is there's a gap, right? As a therapist, as a counselor, someone who's been in the mental health field, I have noticed that there's a gap between people that have an actual diagnosis that really are, and I want to say the word suffering because pain is inevitable, right? But when someone's suffering, you offer help. And so I found that there's a gap between those that are suffering from mental illness and those that are dealing with things, everyday things in life that don't
Mhm.
necessarily need a diagnosis, but there's a need for them to be built up, to invest
Ooh,
in
come on.
themselves, and
Yes,
encourage them, to empower them to invest in their mental health and how much our mind is connected to everything, our flesh,
everything.
our ability to
Mm.
thrive. And so I come from a behavioralist background. And so our behaviors are dictated by our thoughts. what we speak
Yeah.
about ourselves, what we think towards ourselves. And I really wanted to take this mental health as everyone, especially with the pandemic, really getting into self care, self
Hmm.
empowerment, compassion, and take that and fill in that gap. Because there are people that can't afford therapy, but perhaps there's, a coach out there or someone that I can connect to that can give me the tools and resources to invest in myself. And that's where I came up with a mental wealth trainer. That's what I am. I'm still a therapist, but mental wealth training is ultimately my goal.
It's so empowering because it's focused. So you know exactly what it is you're going to get. So if we were talking about finances, right? And Dr. Deandra was on here saying, I've got 10 tips to help you to increase your wealth. Whoa, everybody would tune in. They'd have their notepads and their pens, and they would be scribbling, scratching it down so that they can get these 10 secrets that's going to help them to enhance their wealth.
Right.
Now she's challenging us. Well, all of the effort, the energy that we would spend on investing in the stock market and the stocks and the Bitcoin and all of that stuff, and that stuff is good. I'm not saying that that's wrong. But what about if you did that same energy, you kept that same energy that you were running behind your financial advisors, you keep that same energy now and follow behind someone who's going to help you with your mind.
Yeah.
So, what would you share with us, Dr. Deandra, about our mental wealth? Give us some
The
good stuff.
The first one, I so and I'll get to the book later. For me and what really, really helped me is really understanding that what you said, that focus. You have to have
Hmm.
intention. You know,
Yes.
it's not enough to be motivated. You have to be dedicated. And there's a difference between motivation
Yes.
and dedication, right?
Teach us. Come on now.
Motivation is going to get you out of the bed. Motivation is going to get you out of the bed, but dedication is going to keep getting you out of the bed.
Hmm.
Being dedicated and intentional. So, if I had to start with anything, it would be what are your intentions for yourself? What are your
Love it.
thoughts towards yourself? What are your intentions for whatever you may be going through? Again, as a therapist, um, we have to break things down into small bite-sized pieces. People are
Hmm.
overwhelmed with life. Whether
Yes.
you're a mom, whether you're a dad, whether you're single, there's this overwhelming that we have to get it all done and we have to figure it all out. Let's just break it down into chunks and start with our intentions first.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. So we got to get focused,
Yeah.
everybody. We got to get focused. What else are we going to do to enhance this mental wealth?
So after you kind of set those goals, now you got to figure out, well, what do I have to do with these? It's the action steps. What's it going
Hmm.
to take to get to that goal? I've got to outline these steps. Everything comes with directions, right?
Yeah.
When we're making a cake, it comes with directions. You do this one first. No one puts the box of cake mix in the oven and then pulls it out and puts the ingredients in, right?
I hope not.
I mean, I've seen America's Worst Cooks. So
Yeah, yeah.
so I say the average person doesn't do that first, but there has to be action steps. And again, that goes right
Love
around
it.
with those intentions. If I say that my intention is to get up and to work out 3 days a week,
Mhm.
you really have to focus on, is that feasible first of all? Given your schedule,
Right.
can you do that? And what does that look like? If you've got to be to work by 9, takes you an hour and a
Mhm.
half to get dressed
Yeah,
because you gotta
yeah,
get on
for
social
sure.
media as soon as you wake up or
Right.
something, like,
Exactly.
it's gonna take you an hour to get to work. Well, you gotta back that up to 5 o'clock. Be realistic. Are you ready to get up at
Yeah.
5 AM?
Mhm.
So, just
Mhm.
outlining those steps. What does those steps look like for you to do that thing that you are intentional about doing? Um, and then the last one is, what is the end result? That's where the
Mhm.
mind comes in, because 'cause you've got to see yourself in that intention. If
Yes.
I'm saying that my intention is to go to the gym because I wanna build 10 pounds of muscle, well, that key
Mhm.
result means I need to see myself with that muscle. What does that
I
look
love
like
it.
for you?
I love it. So you actually targeted right in where I wanted to go because I try to be the people's advocate, you know, and it's one thing to hear someone give steps and line it out. It sounds so easy and sounds so simple. But I wanted you to help the people with creating these mental wealth goals. Like what types of things, and you gave one about the, you know, going to the gym. Now for me, I exercise for my mental wealth.
Mhm.
Like I don't exercise, you know, I do to try to lose weight, but in this game, in this stage of my life, like I am exercising more so for my mental health. And I understand that once I get that in alignment, then it's also going to be beneficial to my physical body and to my spiritual health. And so all my other areas of wellness are now going to be supported by
Mhm.
that one decision. So help us with making these goals. Like get how would someone even get started with this?
You gotta start with where do you wanna go? Um, one
Mhm.
of the exercises that I love to practice with people is, seeing their future selves. What does future
Mm.
you look like? You
Mhm.
know, regardless of what that is, and I know, some people think that that operates in fantasy, but no, that operates in, "This is where I wanna go." It all starts with, "That's how I see myself, this is where I wanna go." When you can
Mhm.
see yourself healthy, when you can see yourself wealthy, when you can see yourself worthy, whether that's
Mm.
relationships, mentorships, friendships, when you see yourself as those things. So, what does the future you look like? What's the best version of you look like? Because we're talking about growth, not change. Change is
Ooh.
usually change comes from, and often, and I won't say it does, some often change comes from a place of hurt or necessity.
Mhm.
And sometimes because people are addicted to pain, they don't change.
Ooh, she's saying something now, you guys.
But when we talk
Wow.
about growth, when we talk about growing through something, that is very, very different than changing through something. You know, when, you know, that whole thing when people come back and be like, "Oh, you changed." No, you grown and you
Yeah.
no longer serve the purpose of the things that you used to do because those things were attached to a hurt place.
Wow.
But when you have growth, it's different. So, future you, start there.
I love it. I love it. Set those goals for growth,
Yes.
not for the change. I love that because and listen, you guys, these things that Dr. Deandra are sharing, these are the tips. These are the secrets that I've heard come out of billionaires' mouths,
Yes.
millionaires' mouths. They're saying the same thing, but you don't want to hear it when Dr. Deandra's over here talking about it. You'd rather go spend a $500,000 to hear, you know, one of the millionaire, Bill Gates or whoever's popular nowadays, right? You'd rather hear it from them, but they're literally saying the same exact thing.
Yeah.
You
And
just have to determine how bad do you want it,
yeah.
right? How bad do you want this?
And listen, I recognize that there's some nuance with being a Black woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's that strong Black woman schema
Oh,
that comes into play. Very dangerous, a place to be. I spoke about this once at a sisterhood investment group conference about that strong Black woman schema and how dangerous that schema can be for us to be put in this
mm-hmm.
position of having to do more with less, right? That we
Mm,
think that somehow that's a badge of honor.
yeah,
And the things that we have to carry. So there's nuances to us as Black women and how we encourage ourselves, how we empower each other, um, and how we get past it. I am in love with the season of the Black woman. I mean, if you ask me, this pandemic just brought out some just powerful women, and then
yeah,
the things that I've seen Black women do. You know, the rise in numbers of Black women owning businesses,
yes.
Black women making money, Black women out here making change. I get it. It feels like the
Yeah.
world just looks at us to fix everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time I turn around, there's a black woman to the rescue, right?
Yeah.
I get I get
And
it.
it's been like that since for a while now. It's been that way. Hence how we've gotten that cliche type of badge of honor to say the
Mhm.
strong black woman. Like,
Right,
do we have to be strong every day? And are we strong because we fix the problem or
right.
because we just tolerated this
Yeah,
stuff for much longer?
it is. It's that moniker to me diminishes our pain, the real pain
Yeah.
of the things that we do have to carry, the burdens that
Mhm.
we have to deal with. Uh, for me, serving in the military, that moniker meant so much more for me when I got out, not realizing how much I was in it because I actively had to tell myself that I had to deal with what was going on with me because I have 3 children that are depending on me. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
I my children are my life and my priority, but the
Mhm.
mindset that I was in was, "It all comes down to me because if not me, then who?"
Mm.
Well, the people
Mhm.
responsible for what happened to me, that's who. It's not
Yeah.
just my burden to bear, but passing
Yes.
that off and then actively telling myself that it's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's freeing. That's freeing when you yourself can give you permission to not be okay.
yeah,
Like, you don't have to put on the happy face. You don't have to, you know, make like all is well and go along to get along. Like, you literally have the power to say, no, I'm not okay. And then what I heard you say is not taking on the burden or all of the accountability for you by allowing the persecutors, the perpetrators, the people in systems that should have been protecting and serving and honoring and all of these things, making them be responsible for their part in this.
correct.
Right. So I love that. And when we are able to relinquish some of that guilt, relinquish some of this, oh, I could have done. No, you did exactly what you could do in that given moment.
Yeah.
And it is more so about holding others accountable to say, wait a second, let me check you on this. Wait a second, let me correct you on that. And that's where we get our power. We get that dominance that suits us, not
Mhm.
when we just, hide and accept. Like, we don't gain that power from that. In fact, we start getting guilt. Guilt starts now running in because now
Oh,
we feel like, oh, now we've got to hide, and it just
oh,
goes into a plethora of different mental, you know,
absolutely.
it's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, to your credit of what you're saying about, that daily, just getting to the accountability piece, right? Just because I show up to work, and I want to do my job, doesn't mean that I'm without pain or I'm absent of dealing with the
Mhm,
pain. Forgiveness is real, but
mhm,
forgiveness is a daily transaction between the heart and the mind, daily.
yeah,
And when someone has done something wrong, to you, whether that person has gone or is still here, it's a daily transaction. You have to deal with that
yeah,
forgiveness every single day. It's not a, I forgive them or they've asked for forgiveness and I'm done because your heart
mhm,
still has to contend with the pain. And so every
mm.
day it's a reciprocal transaction of telling my heart and my head that I
I
forgive
love
them.
that. Yes, yeah, it's about the communication between your heart and your head because your head is saying, "I'm okay. Everything is okay,"
Right.
but your heart is like, "We're not okay.
Listen,
we not. We heard. we
the
heard."
it's a word where it says the heart is
Yeah,
wickedly deceptive, right?
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So we have to get in that alignment. I love that, and that will help us gain more control over our mental well-being.
yes.
So Tell us a little bit more about this mental wealth. What other types of encouragement or advice would you share with someone who is trying to focus more on their mental well-being?
Oh, so I my target audience really is women,
Mhm.
whether they be in the military or not, women that are actively looking to change the trajectory of their life, and that doesn't necessarily mean CEO. They could be working for someone, but that still doesn't take away their roles and responsibilities, right? Everyone makes transitions, especially now. Transitions happen more often. They happen
Mhm.
unexpectedly.
Yes.
For for the person out there, the woman out there, or even a man, because I don't wanna exclude men from the problems, especially Black men. I don't know if you've seen it, but side note, Busta Rhymes just did, like, an interview, and he was saying how Black men are not afforded the opportunity to be weak, right? They're just not.
Mm.
And so, there's that stigma, and then we're dealing with
Mhm.
Black women, and the stigma that comes along with them of, again, if not me, then who? Right? So I have to shoulder
Mhm.
all this stuff. So
Mhm.
talking with those women that are making that transition, that are overwhelmed with how do I deal with all these things? Um, this isn't about coaching you through parenting. That's a whole different that's a whole different
Right.
ballgame, right? And there's no manual for parenting. I can tell you, you can take the
Not at
same
all.
household, 2 different households, and give them the same resources, the same opportunities, and each one of those kids are gonna come out different.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are gonna come out different. But for the person and the woman who is overwhelmed with the start point, with where
Mm.
do I even begin? Or I see
Mhm.
myself doing these things, or they have that unction of maybe I do need to start a business, or I'm really good at this one thing and I don't know where to begin. That's
Mhm.
the person that needs that to build up that mental wealth. When the imposter
Yeah.
syndrome has kept you from starting
Mm.
over and over and over again. When you know that you have a gift and every single time you start, something happens and you push it off. Or you're that
Mhm.
person that's like, "I'll wait till the kids get out of elementary school.
Mhm.
I'll wait till the kids
Yeah.
are out of high school."
Yeah.
Life does not wait for you at all,
Mhm.
at all. So, my thoughts are towards, those
Mhm.
women that are in that gap of my self-esteem has just been shot because maybe they were in an abusive marriage and they've
Mhm.
been told that they weren't worthy for so long. Or they've tried multiple times and they just need someone to look at it from a different point of view. Let's try something different. Absolutely
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that. Um, but for that woman who's counting, the days behind her rather than looking forward,
Mm.
that woman.
Wow. Wow. So she's the one that would benefit primarily from this mental wealth. I
Yes.
love that. I love that.
ab-
Because, Black women and Black men, although our plight is different, what we've been through in history,
mhm.
you know, it still overlaps. So his burden is our burden and our burden is his burden. Like it's we're so intertwined
Correct.
that we've experienced similar things and we've experienced different things, but based off of the same circumstances.
Right.
So we have to learn how to connect, to support, and to empower one another. And I believe that is the secret to us all surviving. So we're not using another sister's head or another brother's head to step up on so that we can get ahead. No, we are finding ways, being creative if we need to make certain that we all go up.
Yeah.
And I love the work that it is that you have been doing, that you are doing, just to reach out and help draw us all up. Like, no woman is left behind. So, whether you've been assaulted in the military, whether you're dealing with stressors in life, it's like, wait a second. We are all going up, and you have been encouraging us to do that. And the primary reason or the way of doing that is making certain that our mind is in check. So that's what we mean by mental wealth. It's about investing
Mm,
into your mind.
yes.
So before I let you go, give us some of your final thoughts about mental wealth. You know, anything that you felt like you haven't covered, you haven't touched upon, or anything that you really, if people, if they were zoned out the whole time because they were worried about the kids at their feet, they were yelling at the husband, it's over there, you can't look for nothing, right? If they were so zoned out, now that you have their attention yet again, what's that one thing, two things, three things, whatever? What is it that you would want people to make certain that they take away from this conversation about mental wealth?
One is the topic of self-care. This has shown up so many times in sessions. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that people are doing a really good job of pushing self-care, but
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that, I have been in sessions and talked to my clients about self-care is not grooming. It is not getting your hair done. It is not getting your
It's not the
nails done.
mani-pedi.
No,
Oh
it is not
man.
you going to go and get laser hair removal under the arms. Listen, I tell them if it's attached to grooming, then it should be grooming for something else connected to your joy. So if you're telling me I'm
Mm,
going to go get my hair done, my self-care day is Sunday and I'm going to go get my hair done because I'm taking myself out on a date. Okay, sis, you do that.
okay.
I'm going to go get my
Uh-huh.
toes done because I'm going to go take a walk on the beach and I'm going to take some feet pictures because
Uh,
you got a OnlyFans page.
you gotta
Okay.
look right. You gotta look right. Yes.
Exactly. So I just say that self-care should be connected to another piece of that joy. Self-care should be whatever sparks and brings joy. And I'll be careful using that word sparks joy. But self-care should
Mhm.
be connected to joy. It should make
Yes.
you happy to do. Uh
Yeah.
if getting your hair done is going to cost $185 and you don't feel good about that, that's not
Mhm.
self-care.
Listen,
That's
you're right about it.
necessary.
Yeah.
That's
It's like
necessary.
a bill. It's like them groceries you had to buy.
Exactly. But, for me is when people ask me, "What does my self-care look like?" Whatever I feel, whatever I'm
Yeah.
being led to do on Sundays are my self-care day. I don't work, I don't touch anything electronic, I don't touch computers, I
Mm.
don't answer emails, none
Wow.
of that. But if I get up and I go to church and I come home and my self-care day is getting back in my pajamas and sitting in bed and
Mhm.
ordering DoorDash,
Mhm.
that's exactly what D is gonna do.
Yeah.
But if it's
Yeah.
also giving myself a facial and doing, giving myself I get my nails done, but if I'm gonna sit here and cut all my cuticles and I'm gonna do my
Mhm.
hair or try on some new makeup, whatever, take myself out to dinner. I love going to the movies by myself. Let me tell you something. I'm
Me
the youngest
too.
of
Mhm.
7. I'm the youngest of 7, okay?
Okay.
I don't know what it's
So a
like to be
college
alone.
student
No,
no.
I ain't never been alone a day in my life. So when I get the opportunity to be alone, that's my self-care.
Yes.
Quiet.
Yes. I
But
love it.
I would say self-care would be one of those things that I really wanna push that looks like joy, that looks like
Mm.
happiness, whatever that is. Again, if it's you being alone and just listening to the sound of your own heartbeat because you don't remember what
Mm.
your heart sounds like,
Mm.
do that. Do that
Wow.
enough that it just you want to do that, that you make time for it. That
Mm.
your self-care routine should be so consistent that people already know not to bother you or where
I
you
know that's
are.
right.
Where can you find D on Sundays? I don't know. I might have my phone on do not disturb, but you know not to come
Uh-huh.
disturb me.
You just don't need me on Sunday.
Don't
Don't need
don't
me
need me
on
to answer
Sunday.
an email on Sunday. Don't need me to get on this computer because it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love it.
But not doing the work now except for my book release. That's gonna be on a Sunday. Okay.
Yeah.
That's gonna be on a Sunday. But and outside of self-care,
Yeah.
I go back to the thoughts that you have toward yourself, and then the
Mm.
affirmations, another thing. we hear about affirmations. People are like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh yeah, I wrote something on my sticky note," or "I got a sticky note by my
Mm-hmm.
computer," right? But are you saying them? Because
Mm-hmm.
you got to hear yourself say, "I'm worthy."
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to hear yourself say, "I'm wealthy." You got to hear yourself say those things that you speak toward yourself, that you
Mm-hmm.
attract love. I attract love. I attract
Mm-hmm.
joy. So,
Yeah.
the auditory part of it too, and just getting into that dedication practice of affirming yourself. Don't wait for anybody else to
Oh,
affirm you. Affirm yourself first.
that's right. Wow, that is so good. Listen, I'm telling you, you were talking about the self-care, and I'm a big child. I'm big on self-care, and I'm doing my self-care I'm allotting myself that joy every day. And it even has boiled down to the simplest things like putting moisturizer on. I mean,
Yes.
everybody, you throw some lotion on, you go out so you're not, looking ashy out in the street. But when I'm putting it on my face, it's just like, girl, this is for yourself. This is for your skin. Like it's love, right? It's
Yes.
a reflection of love. So I don't skip out without it. Because like you said, you built this routine to say, no, 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 no. I am worthy of a 2-minute face massage as I put on this nourishing skin cream.
Mhm.
So it is about changing the way you look at the things you do. And child, you said something big time there. If your hair is gonna cost you money, like you spending out for the electric bill or the groceries, it is not it is not this luxury thing. It has now become a necessity. You need to get your hair done so you
Yeah.
don't look crazy at work. Like
Right.
that is not my time. That's not my me time. That is a necessity. Like I
Right.
need to pay these bills. So
Right.
we don't and I think we just grasp for straws. We're just
Yeah.
grasping for anything to say that we did something for
Something for
ourselves,
ourselves.
but
Yeah.
not when it has become a necessity, not when it has become something that needs to be done. So
Yeah.
I love just that new way of thinking about it. So all you ladies who talk about your manis and your petties, find you something else because
Do
you're
it with a
spending money on
girlfriend,
that.
like yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you're gonna go
Yes,
get a petty, bring a friend along, bring in the
yes,
joy. I love
and get
spending
that
time with my
socialization
friend.
time. I
Yes,
love it.
spending
I
time with
love it.
them. Yeah, bring your
Oh, that
daughter.
is good. That is good, right? So that it's an expression of joy,
Yes.
not a thing on your to-do list, but it is a non-negotiable moment of joy that you are worth having. I love child. This
Yes.
it's gonna be a whole new that self-care game just went up an extra notch now because of that revelation. I appreciate that so much. But listen, I want you to share with us about your book project that you've got launching.
Yes, I'm excited. So, I developed this book. It's called Grit. So, Grit
Mm,
stands for Get Ready Intentionally Today, right?
mm,
And I go over in my book my what I call the grit method, which is the OAK method, OAK. And I briefly touched on it. Basically, your objectives, your action steps, and then your key results. And this book outlines kind of where you start with those objectives, what those key, the steps are going to be, and then those key results. Where do you see yourself? This is just a combination of a lot of things. I'm very excited about this book because it has helped me a lot. Every single night before I go to bed, I set my intentions for the next day
mhm,
every night. And so this book is to encourage women to do the same thing every night before you go to sleep. Set your intentions for the day. One, it keeps you accountable to what you said you were going to do, right? And then when you get up the next day, there it is. This is what I'm supposed to be doing today. These are the steps that I've got
mhm.
to do to get
Yes.
to the thing that I'm getting. And then it's also, a journal. Writing is key. It is key
Mhm,
getting those thoughts out of your head and onto a piece of paper. So there's an opportunity for your grateful moments, for the lessons you learned today, because not everything is going to go the way that you want to. So what did I learn today? What did I learn not to do? I don't know
Mhm.
about anybody else,
Mm.
but again, Imma bring it I got a Peter spirit, okay? The disciple Peter is all in me. I'm the person that'll cut your ear off first and then be like, "Oh, we're not
Did
supposed
I
to
do
do that." Oh, that's the
that?
rest of listen, so for all my Peters out there, if that's you, I feel you. So being intentional has helped me,
Yes.
but I also realize there's some lessons learned. And then we just talk about that money, the aspect, your financial, I call it the financial flex, and then your fitness flex.
Mhm.
What did you do today to move your body? How consistent were
Mm.
you with moving your body? And then financially tracking money in, money out. Did you miss or make your goal? And so
Woo!
I just go through all that in a book. July 2nd is the release party. I'm very excited. I know
Yes.
this is gonna probably air afterwards, but still,
Yes.
I say
But it'll be just in
if you
time
are
for
that
people
woman
to
that's looking for
grab the
that
book. Yes.
yes, absolutely. So please, it will be on my website. It is also going to be on Amazon and Etsy. I'm putting it out there for everybody. Out everybody goes to different platforms. They like their own platforms, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that is the book. It is that way for a reason. Intentions are key. Our intentions are
They
key.
are. They are. And let me tell you, Dr. Deandra, I can attest to it. There was a season in my life where I used to set intentions every morning. So I would text a friend, and me and one of my sisters, I would text her, and if we couldn't text each other, we would audio record it. We would verbally say what our intentions were, and we would send it to someone as the accountability person, right? And I'm telling you, it was a game changer. Like the momentum was high for every day.
Yeah.
It was just you just felt like you had a sense of purpose for every day. So I love the idea of doing it at night so that you wake up with the plan. Because oftentimes we spend a lot of time during the day trying to figure out, well, what am I going to eat? What am I going to drink? What am I doing this? But if you set the game plan in the beginning, like so
Mhm.
you set it at night, then that's less things that you have to worry about and contemplate and do all of this stuff for your day. So for a productive day, for a peace of mind,
Yes.
I can honestly say that setting intentions is gold.
Yes.
It is pure gold.
You
So
s
I'm
you
definitely
said
gonna,
a key word right there. You said a
yeah.
key word, your mind. If you know what's going on
Hmm.
tomorrow, then you can go to sleep without all that ruminating going on of, "What am I gonna do?" Did I got do I gotta go do laundry? Do I put your mind at
Hmm.
ease when you go to bed
Yeah.
at night. You wanted
And it's
something
just getting up and executing.
yeah,
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So we're
thank
going
you.
to make certain that we put the link for the book in the description. So everyone who's watching, you make certain that you go down into the description box, you click on the link, you purchase, you support, and you apply, right? You apply the strategies. You know, Deandra is she's gonna love you because you made the purchase. Yay, go you! You supported another Black queen. We love it. But the main point is that you do the work. You take the steps. She spent a lot of time cultivating this. So take it as a usable resource, not just
Okay.
something to add on your bookshelf, to collect dust. Take it as a usable guide to helping you be more intentional.
Yes.
I love every moment of it. And I'm going to get my copy of the book so that I can get myself back in order because I fell off. I can say I fell off, but I do know the importance and the value of it. So I do want to reignite that routine in my life.
Yes.
So
Thank
I thank you, Dr. Deandra. This was so much fun. We're gonna have to have you come back again because I'm certain there's just like a multitude of different things that we could chat about. And I really do hope that everyone felt encouraged by
yes.
you.
Yes. Thank you for having
That's
me.
it.
Thank you, everyone, to all the listeners. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. That was so good. I think I'm biased. I think all of the episodes are so good. But you all will have Dr. Deandra's contact information. I want to make certain that everyone is staying connected to her because there is so much to be gleaned by someone who has already journeyed, who's already put in the work. So we want to make certain that you are staying connected, whether it's on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you're hanging out. Just make certain that you are surrounding yourself with this positivity to keep you going. All right, everyone, until next week, I hope that you have enjoyed this week's segment of the Black Girl Encourage Her. We out here spreading this encouragement for everyone, just doing it from a Black girl's perspective. And I hope that you have benefited richly from it on today. Listen, I want you to come back. I want to make certain all my new viewers that you are subscribing, you're liking, you're commenting, and don't forget to share because this message needs to go out. It needs to get to the people that are in our close circumference, and we need to get this word to the masses. So make certain you're hitting the share button and you're sending it to all of your loved ones so that we all can get this encouragement and we can get mentally wealthy, right? We want to be mentally wealthy. So until next week, you all have a beautiful and blessed week, and I'll see you again on the next episode. Take care.